Okay, so we're going to do a Photoshop tutorial because I think this is going to be really useful to you. Some people prefer to use Illustrator because you can do vectors. I used to use Illustrator, but I haven't used it in ages. I just find with Photoshop, I can do pretty much everything I need for my clients. So that's what I use. If you're on a budget, you can get GIMP. That one's free. I don't know how to use it, so I'm not going to show you. Right, so to start with, basically I'm on a Mac, but if you got a Windows computer, it's pretty much the same. Every time I say command, it'll be control on a Mac, on the Windows. Apart from that, it's pretty much all the same. So I'm gonna go to Finder and grab some pictures. So I can select these pictures and then click and drag and drop them here. And they'll appear here as two pictures. Or I can go to File and then open a new file. I'm gonna try and record this in one take. So if there's a lot of humming and hurrying and coughing, please excuse me. But I'm just trying to stay on track, and I want to make sure I don't forget to say certain things. So I'm gonna go down the list of all of these tabs and all of those and all of these main tools, and some things I don't know because it's a very complex software. I don't use everything, and I don't use masks. Some people use masks, which is the proper way. I never really learned because I taught myself more or less with YouTube and whatnot. So I'm just going to show you my way of working. Maybe other people's way will be better, but this is the way I know how, so I'm just going to teach you. Right, so I got these two pictures. First thing I want to show you, when you save a picture, so I'm going to create a new layer. To create a new layer, you do Command J, or you could double click on the Mac or right click on a mouse, and you can do duplicate layer. So that's not. I'm so not used to doing it this way. So it's Command J to duplicate this layer. I'm not sure where it didn't work, but whatever. So now that I've created an action in this, it'll ask me to save it. So if I try and close it, it'll say, do you want to save it? So I'll save it as a JPEG. JPEGs are going to be the things you use the most. So JPEGs and PNGs are definitely the best. And also PSD, which are Photoshop documents. You'll use GIF maybe sometimes. But yeah, most of these other fancy ones you're not gonna really use. So I'm just gonna go save as oh yeah, no, I can't do it that way. So I'm gonna go File, and then I'm gonna do Save As, or I could also do Command Alt S, or Command Shift S, or Control Shift S to do save. Then I'm going to do JPEG. So you see, JPEG is going to be one you use a lot. GIF sometimes. PNG has similar properties to GIF. I'll explain that in a bit. TIFF, I doubt you'll use that. That's more photography, lossless file. But the main ones you're going to use are going to be Photoshop, JPEG, and PNG for the most part. So we're going to do JPEG. This is from a website called Unsplash. It's cool. It's copyright free. You can use the pictures. Say if you're doing a course or a book or something. They've got limitations about some things. Have a look at the terms. But for the most part, you're allowed to use the pictures as opposed to the other ones where you have to pay for everything. So this is kind of a cool site to know. So I'm just going to save it. It doesn't matter where I save it. I'm going to go save, replace it, don't matter. Okay, then it's going to ask me the quality. Do you want it 12 or less? I always save at 12. You can reduce the quality of an image, but you can't increase it. You can sort of fake it a little bit, but it's never perfect. So always try to keep the maximum quality as you can. It's just better. So I'm going to go OK. Now it's saved somewhere, it doesn't matter. And now if I try and close it, it's going to ask me again if I want to save it. And the reason for that is because Photoshop likes to save as a .psd, as a Photoshop file, and because I didn't, it just wants me to save it. But because let's just say I've done this for a client, like a sketch or whatever, and it's done, and I know it's done, the job is cool, whatever. I don't need to save it as a Photoshop, that takes a lot more space. So I'm just going to go don't save. So it's saved onto the other location as a JPEG, but it hasn't kept all the steps like here as you would have with a Photoshop file. A Photoshop file, you'll keep all of those steps. If you have a JPEG, you basically, sorry, let me get rid of this. If you have a JPEG, it's the same as having just one layer. Right, I'm gonna bring the car back. Bring it like this. Okay. Oh, another thing as well. If you say you've got these, you want to add some pictures, but not to this document, you can just put them in here, in this gray bar here. Just let that go. And then it'll open all of those alongside it. The reason it didn't reopen this one is because it's got the same name and it's already open, so it's only opened this one. And if you want to, this is something you'll use a lot. Like say you've got the picture of the client's house, and then you've got the picture of, say, the car. So we're going to say this client, instead of these mirrors, wants this red car in the middle, and we're going to do a sketch. And by doing that, I'm going to have to go back and forth in the menus, and I think that's the best way I can explain how to use Photoshop as a mural artist. Excuse me. So I'm going to go here to this window, and I'm going to click, and then I'm going to move here. I'm still clicking, I'm still holding the keypad, and then I'm going to let go. And then now this picture becomes a layer on this side. I'm just going to get rid of this one, doesn't matter. And then I'm going to close this because I don't need it. You see, it closed without asking me if I wanted to save it. That's because me moving the picture, it doesn't see it as an operation. It's just, that's the only thing it doesn't see as a task, basically. So it's not asking me if I want to save it, because for Photoshop, I haven't changed the document. Right, so, oops. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some space on the wall to start with. So first I'm gonna, you see this eye thing? If you toggle it, it'll show the picture back and forth, but you have to be careful because every time I click and unclick, Photoshop sees that as an action. And I think you only got about 20 or 30 actions to go back. So if I go to edit and I do undo layer, visibility, and then undo layer visibility, you see that's one action every time. Whenever there's a shortcut, it's here on the side. I'll show you how to change the shortcuts and add them, whatever. On this side, it's normally a letter. So if you go, I'm pressing and I'm still pressing at the moment, so I can choose. Because if I just press one time, it'll select the tool. But if I press long, it gives me an option. When there's a little arrow, those have options. So you see that's a W, that is the shortcut. If I go to this one and I press long, you see C, that's the shortcut. I'm just gonna go back to A. Right, so be careful when you go back and back, when you toggle this back and forth, because eventually you'll use up all the 30 steps back, and if you make mistakes, you won't be able to go back. So if I go Command Z, so as you can see here, undo layer visibility is this is the symbol for Command on a Mac. On Windows, it'll say Control. I can't remember what the symbol for Control is. So Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, and you see I'm moving back, and eventually I'll run out of steps. It's probably okay, that's within the steps, so it's fine, but sometimes you want to move back, and if you're painting beards or whatever, like steps accumulate very quickly. Now I want to go forward, so I'm going to go Command Shift Z to go all the way back. Okay, I'm back. I could also go here and do redo. So Command Shift Z. Okay, now I want to have a look at the space. So say I've gone to this person's house, and this is their living room or shop or whatever. This is what I do all the time. I take my phone and then I say, can I take a picture? They go, yeah. So I'll take a picture of the space, and then I'll say, I'll do a Photoshop mockup so you can see what it will look like afterwards. They go, yeah, sure, great. So first I'm going to get rid of these mirrors. Don't really have to, but it'd be just easier. So what I would do is I want to get this color here, but this color is going to be different to this color. So first I'm going to take the color picker, which is this one here, and it's the shortcut I. After a while, you rarely go in these. I don't like the fact that these are all gray or white or whatever, because it's just confusing when you're working. You have to, where is it? And it's a bit weird. So as you're working, you end up going, select tool is A, crop tool is C, pen tool is P. You get used to all of these shortcuts. It's just quicker. But anyway, so we're going to go I for the color picker. And then I'm going to select this color here. First I'm going to create a new layer, because you don't want to work destructively. If I work on this layer and I do something like this, then that's attached to the layer. And then if I've gone back too many steps, like 30 or whatever, then that's it, that's the layer damaged. So I'm going to do Command Z. You want to get used to the habit of creating new layers. So you can select it and drag it to the plus sign here to create a new layer, or you could just do Command J and it does the same thing. So I'm going to do backspace. So I'm going to select this one. By the way, I'm going to try and do this course as quick as I can, so it's not too long, but it might be a bit, if you're new to Photoshop, you'll have to pause and go back and pause and go back. I think it's better to do it that way. Otherwise the tutorial is going to be like 3 hours long, so not ideal. Okay, so I for the color picker, I'm going to select next to the mirror, and then I'm going to do B for brush. I'm going to reduce the brush with the brackets. So the brackets, I can't show you on the screen, but it's the one that goes like this. So that's to reduce the size of the brush. You'll see the circle thing, and the other one like that is to increase the size of the brush. Sometimes you see there's a circle there for the size of the brush, and sometimes you have this crosshair, and I had to Google it, and I was like, how do I get it back? It's because you got caps lock on, and that's why you got the crosshair. So I'm just gonna go back. Right, so I for the color picker, B for the brush, and now I'm gonna brush this in a bit. I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. This is a typical sort of thing that I would do for a client. So I think this is quite fitting for this course. And then I'm gonna basically toggle between I and B. So I to select the color, B for the brush, I to select, B for the brush, I to select, B for the brush. And you see they're all different colors, so I kind of have to do it that way. For placing the car, I don't really need to do this, but it's just one more step to show you something on Photoshop. To blend it a bit better, I can go I here and then make it get the brush get a bit bigger, and then just do something kind of like this. So this way it's a bit more seamless. I'm just going to toggle this off for a second. There's also another way you could do this. You could do Command J to create a new layer, and then you could click J on your keyboard. Oh, sorry, was it J? No, G. No, it's not. Which one is it? Wait, what am I looking for? Sorry, I've gone cross-eyed. It is J. Sorry, it is J. So you can select J. Oh, there you go, which is the healing brush tool. And for example, you want to get rid of this part. I don't know if it'll do all of it, but we can try. So you can paint on top of this. As long as I'm painting all the black on top of the mirrors, and as long as there's an edge, it should get rid of it, but it'll probably have an artifact. Now you gotta wait, and then there's a bit of an artifact. I'm gonna go Command Z. If I was to have, let's just do something simple. Let's do brush. I'll make it smaller, and I'll do a line. Sorry, let me just put it in the middle of nowhere. I'll put a line here, and this is on this layer here. So I'm gonna go J for healing brush tool, make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm gonna cover this. and I should make it disappear. Yeah, so now it disappeared because it's basically a black mass in this beige wall with not much in it. So it's easy for the AI of Photoshop to see it. There's a bit of an artifact anyway, but whatever. So I'm just going to delete that and then just go back to the one we did. Right, so now I'm going to get the car in the middle. So for that, I'm going to do that. The picture of the car is bigger than my image. If I do Control T to transform the image, you see it comes out, and it's gonna be a bit annoying if I try and do if I try and do M or mask or marquee, and I do a marquee around the car, and then I press with 2 fingers or right click on the Windows, then I can do select inverse, and then do backspace to delete the rest, and Command D to deselect. Again, all of these commands are here. I don't actually know where it is because I never use it. Select Command D or Shift Command D. But now if I try and do Control Command T, you can see it's still registering what's outside of the image. And then if I try and resize the picture, there's still bits of it, so it's not ideal. So I'm gonna go Enter, and I'm gonna do Command Z. And the way to get rid of that is to basically use the crop tool. So C for crop, and then I'm gonna go Enter, and it's showing me a preview of what's outside, and it's saying, would you like to get rid of all of this? If you do want to delete what's at the back, you can have this checked where it says delete cropped pixels. If I uncheck that and I go Enter, I can move, but it's not, it hasn't deleted what's on the outside. So Command Z. Again, I'm going to do C for crop and then Enter. It showed me a preview. I'll click Delete, then Enter. And now if I press for the crop again and I go Enter, you see there's nothing on the outside, so it crops it straight away. So V to go back. I just like to press V to go back to the starter. It's just whatever. I'm going to zoom in a bit to see what I'm doing. Okay, so in order to see where I'm going to place the car for the client, let's just reduce the opacity. You got opacity and fill. I don't really know the difference. I just use this one because I'm used to it, but whatever, doesn't matter. So let's just put it there so we can see. Maybe it would look cool, kind of like here. I think that's cool. When you're doing this kind of render, this kind of sketches for your clients, it's always good to have something in the way because it looks more real. Not that you have to, but it's kind of cool. So I'm gonna zoom in here. I want to go that way, but if I try and do that, it'll move the car, which I don't want. So I'll do Command Z. So for that, you press space, which brings up the hand, and then you can move it by clicking your trackpad. I'll zoom in a bit more. And then, so I want to delete this part of the wheel. So it looks like the lampshade is in front of it. So I'll go to the pen tool by clicking here or pressing P. If I press long, you see it's got different options, but we're going to go with the first one. And then we're going to go here. So the pen tool works like this. So you can do this kind of stuff and then finish, and you see it's got the circle showing you that it's gonna close the loop basically. Or you don't have to, you can just stay there and then go right click or 2 fingers on trackpad on Mac, and then you go make selection. And then, so for a while I didn't know what this was. Oh, by the way, there's a guy on YouTube called Piximperfect or something. The guy is so knowledgeable about Photoshop. If you got any problems, it'll probably pop up on your YouTube feed anyway. His videos are great. So Piximperfect, it'll show you like really things in depth about Photoshop. But anyway, if you click it on 0, it'll cut where the line is. if you put 5, for example, it'll have a feather. So it'll have a bit of a blur in between the line. But whenever I work, I like to keep it on 0. And then you see I didn't close it, but it still went straight to the between the last 2 points, the first point and the last point. Okay, so now we got this, and we can just delete, and then that'll delete this part of the wheel. I'm gonna go Control Z a few times to go back, and I'm gonna do it a bit better. So there's also another way before I show you that. There's this tool here. I should remove all this nonsense, but anyway. So if I press and hold, this is the lasso tool. So the lasso is something like that, which I never use because I think it's a bit inaccurate. See, try and do this, which is not perfect, whatever. But there's another one which I find way better, is this one, polygonal lasso tool. This one, you have to do kind of the same things. And on the last one, you can double click to close the loop. I find this one works really well as long as it's not too complicated, but you can't do curves. Everything is a straight line. Command D to deselect. So I'm going to go back to the pen tool. Now with the pen tool, what you can do is you can press it, click it, create an anchor point, then create one here. So I'm going to click and I'm going to hold, and now I'm going to move. And as I move, you see it creates a curve. So I'm going to try and match the lampshade. And then now I can do another one here. But as you see, because what I had to do is go a bit further, now it does like a weird thing there. So I've got two options. I could either press, don't use that so often. I think it's option. Yeah, option. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Option to click this. That's the one. And then I can adjust the thing, but as you can see, I never use it. But that's option. And then you can change the thing. If you press it without option, you'll create another anchor point. So Command Z to go back. Actually, Command Z one more time. Now, what you can do to avoid doing this like weird thing is to click option, press here, so that stops it. It won't give you an extra line, and then you're starting fresh from this one. So now I can go here, pull it to make a curve. If I think this is going to be cool, if I go here, that's fine. I can go like that, Command Z. If not, again, I can go option, click to start fresh, and then I can click and drag a bit to do a bit of a curve. I can do another anchor point, another one here, another one here. It doesn't matter because the wheel is over there. So as you can see, you can click and drag, or you can click and do straight lines. The pen tool is very useful. And then you can close it if you want. The pen tool allows you a lot of flexibility. And also, I'm going to do Command Z. Also with the pen tool, I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm clicking. I'm on a keypad, so I can't really move like if I had a mouse or whatever. But I can double click or whatever, and nothing's gonna happen. It's just gonna create loads of shapes. With the lasso tool, if I double click a bit too fast, then all of this will become a selection. And sometimes you haven't finished selecting the hair or whatever, and you gotta start again. So use the lasso tool for quick things, quick selections, and for precise work, use this pen tool. Okay, so 2 clicks, make selection. Okay, and now we've got the car selected. Now we're going to use the rubber tool, which is E for erase. I'm going to go a bit smaller. There you go. And then I'm going to delete this part. And as you can see, only the car gets deleted. So I'm going to go Command D to deselect. Oh, yeah, there's a bit there because that's part of the picture. We're going to put the opacity back. And as you can see, so space to move the canvas. And as you can see now, the wheel looks like, the car looks like it's behind the lampshade. So that looks pretty realistic. Depending on what you're doing, you don't have to be super precise. So now I've got the rubber tool, I can make it a little bit bigger, and I can just feather here, this side of it. So then instead of creating a sharp line where the car is, it'll create this sort of the roads. You can see the road on the car. So if I was to paint this for a client, I could use my airbrush or whatever to just feather the shadow underneath the car. That looks cool. As opposed to, cutting the car like that. Again, that looks a bit straight and not as nice. So you can use both techniques, Command Z. You can use both techniques to make that fit properly. Right, so I'm gonna go, actually let's go around the car. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do that fairly quickly because it's not about the accuracy of how I can cut around the car. It's more about showing you the features. So bear with me, it won't be perfect, but it doesn't matter. When you're doing this kind of stuff, you wanna zoom in. Come on, space. You want to zoom right in. It just makes it easier to see what you're doing. So you can go like this, like that, Well, actually that's not right. Command Z. I'll just show you for this part and then I'll just be a bit rough with the edges. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out. Okay, and like I said, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to cut it quickly because I don't want this to take too long. It won't be perfect. If you do this for a client, you obviously want to do it a lot better. But I feel I'm gonna lose you if I try and be too long. Photoshop, this is the thing with clients. Sometimes they don't understand how Photoshop takes ages to do anything, and they'll just ask you to do a million sketches and okay, quickly option to click here. And you just don't have the time. Now I only do sketches once the job has been confirmed and I've had the deposit, because otherwise people used to ask me to do a ton of sketches and then you don't get the job and you end up wasting your time. So it can be a bit tricky, but that's down to your discretion to do things the way you want to do them. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the car the other way, so I can just delete without having to do select inverse. So 2 clicks, make selection, enter, delete, Command D to deselect. You can of course deselect, but you basically, Photoshop takes so long that you want to try and speed things up as much as you can whenever you're doing some work for a client. Okay, I kind of have to do this semi properly, so bear with me. All right, just do a little shadow here, and then the rest we just have it a bit rough. So I'm gonna go down here, make selection, enter, backspace, done. Command D, and then maybe E for erase. I'll make it a bit smaller, and then I'll just delete some of this to create a little bit of a more shallow shadow. Okay, so V. So now, as you can see, the car looks pretty good on the wall. You could also create a new lampshade, because obviously if I wanted to move the car afterwards, then the wheel is gone, so it's not ideal. But whatever. Also, another thing, when you're doing this, to make it look a little bit more realistic, you can dim the opacity of the car. So for that, we're going to change, I don't know if I should do it with shortcuts. Maybe I'll show you with this instead. Okay, so we want to alter the image. So we're going to go to image. This is a tab that you'll go into a lot. You want to go to adjustments. And then we're going to change the color. So the hue and saturation. And we're going to reduce the hue, or the saturation and the color, so it looks a bit more real. And also we're gonna reduce the brightness. I'm so used to doing the shortcuts that I don't know where they are. So for that, we're gonna bring the brightness up a bit and the contrast down a bit. So that way it looks a little bit more real, because if we go back to how it was, it looks like it was stuck on the wall. It doesn't look as real. So Command Shift Z a couple of times to go 2 steps that way. Okay, so this is what we would do for a client. So say the client wanted text, and I'll do the text, and then I'll go through all of these tabs and explain as I go. So I'm going to put some text and just go, I don't know, my dream car, and say if we want to change the font and all of that, we can select all of this. By the way, if it's not highlighted like on Word or whatever, if it's like this, you can do Command T and change the text, but only in certain ways. So you can make the text bigger. You can make it bigger like this. Make it change it, or you can press and hold Shift, and then you see that squashes it, or you can go like that. You can also press and hold Command, and it'll allow you to bring it up and down, but it doesn't allow you to do a lot more than that. That's all it allows you to do. So we're going to go Enter and then Command Z to bring it back. Now, whilst this layer is selected, we can go here and do the 2 clicks, and then you can do rasterize type or rasterize layer if it's a picture. It's type for text and layer for picture. So you can do that. And now you can see it added T, and now it's turned into this gray and white thingy. So now it's an image. So if I do Command T and I press and hold Command, now you can see I can do different things. I couldn't do that before. Now I can totally distort the text. It'll give me a really pixelated render, but as I press Enter, it clears it out. Now the difference is, now the text, you see the text is going to become quite fuzzy here, because now I've converted it into a picture. So it's no longer like a vector, basically. If I was to, if I do Command Z and Command Z, so now it's back into being this, I can do Command T to transform and make it really small, do Enter, so that's the size of it. Now I can do Command T and make it big, Enter. And if you look at the edges haven't, the edges haven't changed as far as the quality, to some extent. On if you were using Illustrator, these edges would be perfect regardless how big or small you go. But when you're using a picture, when you're using Photoshop and you turn this into a picture, as you resize and everything, it's going to get pretty bad pretty quickly. So just to show you, there's another thing as well. If you don't want to have to go here and look for rasterized text, what I do, which I find quicker, is to do a new layer and then Command, I'm holding Command and then I'm pressing this layer as well. So now I've got 2, and I can do Command E for merge, or you've got it somewhere. Layer, I think it's here somewhere. Yeah, merge layers or merge visible layers, everything that's visible. So Command E. And now that's transformed the text into a picture sort of layer. So if I do Command T and reduce that and go Enter, and then Command T to bring it back up and Enter, as you can see, the quality's gone terrible. So as long as it's a text element, you can resize it and it won't lose too much of its quality. But if you turn it into a picture, then it will. I'm going to do Command Z a few times until it goes back to this. Now, one thing you can do you can double click and then that brings you the character tab, or you've got it here as well at the top, so you can select. And then here, for example, that's 500 points. I could put it on 6 points, which is here. Go enter. Oh, sorry, actually, yeah, that's it. And then when I go back, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Oops, sorry, I messed up my layers. Normally this is a layer is normally all the way here. There you go. And we're gonna put character next to it. There you go. So I can double click and bring back this menu, and now I can put it to say 600 points. What happened? Oh, okay, sorry. It's actually user error. So let's try again. Command Z a few times. Right. So I'm going to put this here. So if I double click and then I change this to 6 points and go enter, then I have to click here because obviously by pressing space or enter, whatever, I deleted what was there. So now if I double click on this text, this tiny here, you can put it on 600, go enter, and as you can see, it hasn't changed the quality. The quality is the same. As long as you double click here and then you change the value, it's gonna stay the same. Again, not perfect like Illustrator, but it's something workable. Right, so as far as so we're going to do Command T and resize it a bit. I'm not going to spend too long with all of this, like changing the name of the typo and whatever. That's just I'm sure you've used that on other software, so I'll leave that at that. One thing I'll say is if you use a website called what's it called? The font, dafont.com, I think. They've got loads of fonts. You can download different fonts. I use some that I got on there. You're not supposed to use them for work purposes, so I leave that at your discretion. But yeah, I mean the rest, as far as like selecting, changing the color, that's just obvious. I'll just leave that be. Okay. Now we're gonna alter the car, for example. So I'm gonna delete this. We don't need it, and I'm gonna go through each of the steps and show you what they do, because I don't want this video to be too long. It's already 37 minutes. Okay, so new creates a new document. Opens something that you've got open. Open in Bridge. Bridge is really useful. It's this thing here. When you download Photoshop, I pay how much? I pay £9, or nearly £10 a month, which is quite reasonable, and it comes with Bridge. You can download Bridge. If you got a Mac is rubbish at sorting pictures, unlike Windows. I miss Windows for that. But if you got Bridge, it's actually pretty good for sorting pictures. I'm not going to open it because it's got my private pictures. But if you use a Mac, Bridge is a really good thing. Also, if you're using a Mac, I recommend downloading something called Rectangle, which allows you to do what Windows does, where you just grab a window and push it up and it sticks and opens it properly. Or you could go to the side and it puts it on the side or whatever. That's really cool, and that's called Rectangle. So yeah, have a look at that. Okay, so what else? Open in Bridge. A smart object, I can't stand those things. Every time it opens as a smart object, I untick all of this. I think it's anything but smart. That's down to you, whatever. You won't use that. I don't use that. Save or save as. Typical save. You save the document on top of this document if it was open, and that'll be like space joy, whatever. If you save as, you can save it in a different location or something different. Save as a copy. I'm not too sure what that does. Sometimes Photoshop gets glitchy and you have to save as a copy. Whatever. I don't actually know what revert is. I've never used that. Don't know what that is. Okay, let's go to the ones that know what they do. this is going to be something that's super useful. So all the others I don't actually use, so I'll let them be. I'll just show you what I know. I'm not an expert in Photoshop, but I use it all the time, so I'll just show you what I use. Script and image processor, it's a very useful tool. So it'll bring this thing up. So you can click here and it'll select a folder. Say you've got 20 pictures and they're all taken with your shiny new camera or phone, just like 40 megapixels or whatever, and it's massive. But you want to reduce all of them in a batch. So you can have the quality to be 12, but you can reduce the size. 1500 pixels is, what is it, like A5 or something, a bit less than A5 sort of. So you can change the value here. And then if you've got pictures that are 15 by 15, was that 3 megabytes? So that would be an image that's 3 megabytes. If you got an image that's 30 megabytes and you want to reduce it, or say you got 20 or 30 pictures, you can select the folder where all the pictures are. You put the top size of the width and the height that you want the pictures to be, and then you go run. And say you've got 100 or 1,000 pictures. When I was doing photography, I used that all the time. It'll resize all your pictures very quickly and make them more manageable. So that is a useful thing. Cool. Edit. Undo, redo. We've seen that. I don't know what. Oh yeah, that's to. I don't actually know. Moving on. Cut, paste. Obviously, Command or Control X or C. What else do we need? Okay, transform, you'll use that a lot. So you can have free transform, which is Command T, which I used a few times earlier. Or you can do transform. This is cool. You can go. So as far as skew and perspective or whatever, all you have to do is do Command T, and then you can press and hold Command. I think that does the skew, or you can press and hold Command and Option, and then it gives you, I think, skew, or one or the other. Anyway, Enter, Command Z. I was going to show you, transform. I use this a lot. Horizontal. I don't really use the rotate, but I don't know, maybe you'll use it. I find flip horizontal is one thing you'll use quite often with logos and stuff. By the way, hate to break it to you, but in this job you'll paint a lot of logos, and that's why there is a tab in the course about painting logos. What else? So that's transform, but like I said, you see all of those shortcuts, you'll use that a ton. Sky replacement, oh, that's the AI thing. I've never used this. What else? Keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so this is great. So all of this Photoshop file or whatever is what's up here. So if you want to change, say, which one do I use? I think is it image. Yes, it's image. That one, threshold. For my work, I use threshold quite a bit. So I've changed this to Command K. I think Command K was something else, can't remember. But you can change it. So say I could do Shift V, and it's saying Shift B is an invalid shortcut. Oh no, actually I can't do that. So say I do Command V, which is normally paste. So it'll say you can do it, but it's already used to paste. Are you sure you want to do it? I think Command. So obviously I don't. So I'll leave it to Command K. I think Command K was balance, color balance. I'm not sure. But you can change all of those to what you want. You can also change the tools, which are here. So if you want a different letter or whatever, maybe if you want to be super quick and say you're right-handed, you want to have your mouse on the right hand and your like just one hand on the keyboard and you don't want to move it, you could literally have your pinky on the A, the second one on S, then the D, the F, the V maybe, and then you can change these to what you use the most. So that's really cool. You'll probably adjust this to your liking. Cool. Okay. Mode, this is a useful one. So you can do grayscale, and it'll ask you if you want to merge all of those layers into one or don't merge. It'll ask you about the color information, obviously, so discard, and now everything is gray. But this is the profile now. Obviously, we don't want that, so the Command Z. I'll show you how to make something black and white without being so drastic in a second. But yeah, so you got grayscale. The main two you're going to use are these two. So RGB is red, green, blue, the primary colors of light, like the screen you're watching this on. And the primary colors of paint are cyan, magenta pink, yellow, and K for ketone or black. So if you're doing anything for print, say you're doing your business cards and you're downloading the thing from the printer, you'll see the format, the mode that you're downloading the thing on is going to be in CMYK. And sometimes you can change depending what you want to do. Anything you're going to do for your website, it'll be in RGB color. Anything you do for as a flyer or a business card or whatever, it will be CMYK. Not too sure what these channels are. It's obviously more information, 16, 32, or 8. I'll just leave it on whatever. Adjustment, you'll use that a lot. Brightness and contrast, I use that so much. Control B. I hate levels. Most people use levels. I'll show you. So that'd be so the car layer is selected. So if you do Command L, you've got this level business, which I can't stand. I think is we all work in different ways. I don't like it. Can think of one artist, Josh, who loves curves. We're all different. See what you like. I prefer Command B. It gives me more control. I like it more. I get to adjust the contrast to make something a bit more dull or a bit more punchy. And then the brightness, I can make something brighter or darker, whatever. I find brightness and contrast works perfect for me. Try a few different things, see what works for you. Adjustments. Exposure, that can be useful if a picture is way too bright or dark. Lightroom is great for this. Photoshop, not as much. You can increase the exposure if you've taken a picture way too dark. If in doubt, take a picture too dark, because if it's too dark, in most cases you can see the grill, it's got loads of information, even though at the beginning it was pretty much black. But if it's so if you take a picture too dark, you can make it brighter. If it's too bright, it's blown out. You can't bring if it's too bright on the camera, it's got no information, you can't bring it back. So as you take pictures of your work and stuff, if you're not sure, if you have to take it either too bright or too dark, take it too dark. Okay, what else? Adjustments. Vibrance, don't really use that, but obviously it's to make things more vivid. I prefer to use hue and saturations. There are some redundancies. Some things will do multiple things. So if I go to vibrance, you've also got saturation here, so I can increase the vibrance. Vibrance, I find it's more slow. Saturation goes, really punchy quickly. I don't use that because I find it's quicker just to use hue and saturation. Command U, because it's got the saturation already there, but I can also change the color of the car with the hue. And also, if I want to make it dull, I can change the lightness, or if I want to make it quite dark, I can change that to the left. So I find these are really cool. If you want to change the hue, for example, so this, as you can see, let's make it a bit brighter. You can see this pink here, and then the car is like yellowish or whatever. But if you want everything to be one shade, you can do colorize. It'll always make it dull, which is odd. So you always have to bring it up a bit. And then now you can change the hue, and say if I put it back to yellow, whatever it was, you can see this is no longer pink. It's all shades of yellow, or all shades of green, blue, pink, whatever. Hue and saturation, very useful. If you want to make something black and white, you simply just go all the way left. So when I want to put something black and white, that's what I use. There are different ways of using Photoshop. Okay, color balance, very useful. I've actually assigned Command Q, which wasn't there automatically, but I use that quite a bit. I find its color balance is quite a good one. And you work on channels. So you can work on the RGB channels, which is the screen, or you can work on a cyan, magenta, yellow, which are the paint equivalent. And you can really fine tune whatever you want. A lot of the time, say you work on a picture, if you want it to be a bit more like sunny, you would go a bit of yellow and a bit of red, and that gives you something a bit more autumn kind of thing. But these I find are really cool. You can change the shadows, you can change the highlights. I don't see a ton of difference. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I normally use the midtones. Have a look, see what works. Okay, let's continue quickly. Okay, what have we got? Channel mixer is kind of a similar thing, but it's for each channel. So you can reduce the red, and obviously you're left with the green and the blue, and so on. You can isolate one of them, or you can have all of them, whatever. To be honest, I don't really use this. This is more a photography thing as opposed to an artist tool. Black and white, I've never used this. Photo filter is very useful. So say if you find your picture is too cold or too hot, you can just go to warm filter. And then if you want to cool it down, that cooling filter 80 works really well. And you can just dial it down a bit. So if it's only a little bit, you don't want to go all the way, obviously. But if it's just a little hot, if it's just a little yellow, you can add a touch of blue, and then that sort of makes it a bit more neutral. That's a cool tool that I use sometimes. Invert, that's just to make it like a Polaroid or whatever. And then Command I to change. What else did we have? Posterize and threshold. I don't know in which order I've put the stencil, but basically posterize is a good way to do stencils, as it creates like just a few colors for your image. So then you can just cut the red, cut the white, cut the black, and then do a stencil. Another way, which I find better, I've actually got it as a shortcut, is Command K. K will give you just black and white, no gray, no other color. And I find for making stencils, I find this is better. So you could do, for example, one stencil here, one layer, and then you just cut all of them depending on how many layers you want for your work. So that could be a blue, that could be a yellow, that could be a black, and that could be a brown, whatever. You could have as many colors as you want. Okay, when you press OK, it refines it a bit. As you saw before, it wasn't perfect. Anyway, Command Z. But that wasn't the original. I can't remember what the original shortcut was, because I put Command K there. Shadows and highlights. You'll use that probably. This is great when your picture has got way too much contrast. So this is what it looks like before, and then you basically bringing the blacks out. And a lot of the time, say if you work on a picture, say you're going to paint somebody's portrait and they give you a picture that's like really dark or whatever, a lot of the time you see the tires, they're just black, they've got hardly any definition, you can barely see the treads, and as I go there you can see the treads fully. So this shadows and highlights is a useful thing that I use sometimes. It's kind of cool. Anything else? No, never use HDR toning, so I don't know. Autotone works okay. Auto contrast doesn't seem to work. Auto color works okay. It's basically like the AI of Photoshop. I don't think it works that well. I think autotone sometimes work well, but the picture is pretty good to start with, so there's not much for it to do. I don't tend to use it so much. Image size. This I use often, and I use it as a shortcut, which is Command Option I, and it'll give you it allow you to resize your picture. If I change this value, which is the width, say to 4000, then it'll distort the picture. But if I add the little lock here, as I go 4000, you see it changes the value below, so that will keep, if I go and you can change the resolution as well. And you see that'll make it smaller, but it'll keep the ratio. Command Z. You'll use that quite a bit. A lot of the time your pictures will be too big, you have to resize them to send to the client. A good thing is send, let me just go back, image size, something for a client. So for your website, 1200 in width is good. You don't want anything too big because otherwise it'll take ages to load. You see that's tiny, but if I zoom in, you've got, it's okay for the web, you got a good amount of detail, it's fine, but the picture is going to be a lot lighter, it'll load quicker. Command Z. It all depends what you want to do. For your website, just have the pictures really like around 1,000 pixels, not bigger, because it'll take too long, people will click off. Whatever you send to a client, make sure it's not too big, like keep it to like 3,000 pixels max. Also my again, I don't know if I've showed you yet the invoice tab, probably not yet, but I make my invoices as a picture. Once I'm done, I do Command Shift S or save as, and then I save the picture as a JPEG. I always save my invoices as a JPEG because, you know, sometimes you'll have some clients that are trying to be funny and they go, oh, but I couldn't open it on my phone or something, I couldn't open your thingy. If you save it as a JPEG, you can open that on a BlackBerry, whatever. Like a JPEG can be opened on anything. So do whatever you like, use Word, use whatever is good for you. For me, I find I'm just comfortable using Photoshop. I really like it. So when it behaves. So I do my invoices, save them as a JPEG, and then send them to the client. And I know they can't say they couldn't open it. That's up to you what you do. Okay, what else we got? Image size, canvas size. Canvas size is if you want to resize you can change, let me show you. So you can click where you want to go. Say I want to go, I want to extend the top, so I can go here, and then instead of 200, maybe I'll go to 210, and then it'll create an extra bit on either side. Command Z. I don't tend to use it that much because I can simply just go C for crop, and then just pull this a bit, and then I can just take that and resize it. I just find it's quicker. Photoshop is long. You'll take ages on Photoshop. So whenever you can save, enter. Whenever you can save time, it's just easier. Command Z. By the way, those I won't spend so much time because there's not as much to, but image layer, there's quite a lot to it. So that's why I'm taking a bit of time. Image rotation, obviously to spin your canvas. Don't use that. Layer. New layer. So Command N or Command Shift N, or you could just click here, down there. You can click the plus here, and then you can have it above or below. Oh, there's one thing I never remember how it goes. So if I'm here and I want to create a layer below, so if I want to create a layer above it, I do Command J, and I'll create a duplicate of that on top. But if I want to create it, if I want to create something below, I have to do, oh, is it? No, can't remember. Never mind, moving on. I don't know all of it. Okay, back on track, but you can, whatever, long. Stay on track. Okay, new layer, duplicate layer. You'll use all of this down here, or as a shortcut. You never use, you'll never go here, otherwise you'll spend days on Photoshop. Photoshop knows this, that's why it's got so many shortcuts. Oh wow, now already, and I'm really trying to be quick, but there's just so much to it. Okay, quick export as PNG. So sometimes, most of the time, you'll find, especially if you're new to Photoshop, it'll be user error, you messed up. But sometimes Photoshop messes up, and you have to know this, because sometimes you haven't done anything wrong, but it just doesn't work. Sometimes you'll have to export as PNG, because if I go here, it'll work now, obviously, but save as, and PNG is here, but sometimes it's not. Like a few weeks ago, I was trying to work, and that wasn't there, so I had to go the other way. And this is not user error, it's just Photoshop being a bit annoying. So it's not perfect. It's a great software, but you know, it's got a few bugs, whatever. Delete layer. Again, you would just select the layer and go backspace. You wouldn't go all the way in the menu. I guess they need to have this, but whatever. You wouldn't use that. Okay, I don't use masks, so don't ask me. And then pretty much just use this merge the selected thingies. So you can select. You can be on this layer and go Shift and click on this one, and Command E, and then you bring all of them together. Command Z to unfold. I think that's about it that I use on layers. Type, I don't use that. Select, self-explanatory. You'll use the select and the deselect, Command D. That's about it. Filter, right, so I only use 2 filters. Feel free to spend hours and all that. I use blur, where is it? Gaussian blur, to make something blurry, more or less. It's kind of a cool thing. Why am I on crop? Okay. Or where was I? Was I? Yeah, select. Filter. So blur is a thing that you'll use quite often. Well, sometimes Gaussian blur. And the other one is sharpen. And that's the only mask I like to use, unsharpen mask. I don't really see why they put threshold, because that kind of cancels the thing, but you got the amount that you want to sharpen. You can see the card just got sharper and the radius. They basically do the same thing, but they work together. So I like to keep this one quite low, and I like to keep this one not too high either. So maybe about there, whatever. And then once you've applied the filter, it'll show up here. So I can do that, and it'll apply again with the same information as I just selected, and unsharpen again, and then sharpen again, and it makes the whole thing sharper and sharper and sharper till it looks like a potato. So I'm going to go back, Command Z, 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 Z. Cool. But yeah, filter, these sharpen can be useful sometimes, and same as blur, but I'll show you here how to do a bit simpler. 3D, no idea how that works, so I won't show you. View. Right, so the proofs, the proof colors and the proof setup, that's to do with your printing. So you can download color profiles from your printer, and they'll come up here. I think they'll either come up here, or yeah, I think they'll come up here. So you can have your printer's special color thingy bob, and it'll come here, and then you can select it, and then that'll work well. Why am I in CMYK? Am I in CMYK? No. Oh no, RGB. Yeah, RGB. Yeah, so if you want to have a special color setup for your printer, then it'll just come here. Not sure what that is. Okay, zoom in, zoom out. Right, the things you'll use would be extras, and it doesn't show yet, but I'll show you why. Another two things that are useful are the rulers and the snap. So the rulers allow you to have these things, and then if you go here and you click and you hold and you move, you create some guides, and you can create a bunch of guides. Say you want to size up the room, whatever, you can do that. And once you've got this, you see now it starts at 40 and at 10. If you want 0 to start here, you go in the corner, you press and you drag, and you can put it here. And as I drop it, you see 0 is now here and 0 is now here. So that can be useful. So you know that where the tire is roughly at 70, 80, whatever. If you want to clear the guides, you can do Command H. I'll put them back. Or it's here. Where was it? Extras. Command H hides the extras. So ruler. Snap is very useful. So say I've got a square or rectangle, whatever. And I want to have it stick to the, you see, it's magnetized almost, and it'll go onto the guides. But if it's not, you see, it's not magnetized at all. You can also change this by, as I'm pressing on the keypad and moving, I can press Control on the Mac. press Control, and on Windows also press Control. This is the only time Mac uses Control, to my knowledge. And then that turns, you see now it's magnetized. If I let go of Control, it's not magnetized. And it works the same way if that is on. You see now it's magnetized, but if I press Control, now it's not magnetized. So that might be useful sometimes. Command H to get rid of this. I think that the guides are these things. So you can double click and then work on. You can access the. So I guess you have to go here and guide, and then you can access the settings of the guides. You can clear the guides. Where are they? Clear guides. Never mind. Okay, plugin. I don't know. Windows, that's to show whatever you want. Say if you want the actions tabs. Oh, I haven't used action in ages. This is. I'm not going to go too much into actions. You can have a look on. Especially the guy Pixim Perfect on YouTube. He'll explain how to do this. But basically, you got a record button here, so you can start. You have to start a new action. Call it course, and then you record. And now you can see the red button is recording there. So if I do Command B and then bring the brightness up to 50, the contrast down to 16, I go OK. And then I want to add maybe a rectangle or whatever. And I say OK, and then another one. And then I'm done. Then I go to action, and then I can stop the recording, pressing stop. And then if I've got another car, so I'll do Command J to duplicate the car. Now I can go to course and then click play, and it'll create the same action. So you see it changed the color brightness. And it's put the no, actually it didn't copy I don't know if it copied the rectangles, but anyway, you basically duplicate the actions. That's really useful when you've got to do the same of one thing. So say you've got like a chair here, a chair here, a chair here, and you have to do the same setting. You have to bring the brightness up on the orange chair, a brightness up on the brown chair, the blue chair. Then you can just do an action, and then as you press play on each of the layers, it'll repeat the actions that you've created. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but here you are. Okay, let's close that one. All right, let's delete some of those things. Right, let's clear the guides. Control R to remove the roller. Have a bit more space. And that's about it with the Windows. Help, not sure what that does. What else? What should I show you? Okay, so these are the layers. Oh yeah, okay. Now we're gonna go here. FX you'll use a lot. So this is to create a new group. So say you want all of those to be in a new group. So you can click that, and I'll put them in a group. So sometimes you're working on some things and you've got so many layers that you need to put groups. And you can also press on the I thing, and then it hides the entire group. If you want to get rid of it, you can just select the group, put it in the bin. I said, nope, doesn't work. How do I remove the group? I don't know. As you can tell, I don't use group that often. Anyway, Command Z, that'll do. Okay, so new layer, bin a layer. That's for mask. I don't know how that works. So effects. So we're going to go to effects. That's one you're going to use a lot. So you can click any of those, and then they'll all come up here. Or you can select the one you want. One you'll use a lot is stroke. So say if I add a stroke to something, so we can see, I guess I'll do a blue. Okay, I'll bring the opacity up, and then the size. There you go. So a stroke is basically an outline around something. That's going to be something you use a lot. What else have we got? We've got drop shadow, which is something you'll probably use a lot. You can change the direction with this, or you can just grab it and then pull it down. Why don't we see it? Let's bring that up. Where are you, buddy? What's going on? Oh, here we go. Why can't I change it? All right, I think this is. They all work together, unless they're one. You've made them into one layer. As you change them, they respect the lighting and everything, and I think that's why it's stopping us from having fun. Okay, so let's go to drop shadow, opacity. Okay, now distance. Why are you not letting me change the thing? Okay. Oh, because I think it's using global light. Nope. Don't know. Well, this normally works. Anyway, it doesn't work now. But yeah, you can have the drop shadow in different places. What else we got? Outer glow, which is something you probably use quite a bit as well, especially with white. You can have the opacity up, and then you can have it more or less big. What else we got? Now I think they're gonna start conflicting with one another. What else is useful? Inner glow. Let's go to. Let's bring the opacity up a bit. Let's change to yellow so we can see it. Noise is when you want to add like some little dots and stuff. Opacity. Color overlay, you'll use that quite a bit. It's when you say you've got a stencil and you want to change the layers of your stencil so you can see what you're doing. You can add a color overlay. It's kind of useful. But yeah, these are cool and useful. And if you want to get rid of one or all of them, you can just turn them off one by one. If you want to see something, or you can just turn the whole effect off, and then you can grab them and bring the whole thing in the bin. Cool. As you can see, there are things that I was trying to do that didn't work. This is when you got some user error. The biggest thing you'll find that sometimes will drive you crazy, that you don't know what you've done. Say you're here and you've done, maybe you're working on this, and so I press L. You're doing this, you're going to do a selection here. Okay, so that's selected, but it's tiny, and maybe you haven't seen it. And I tried to use B for the brush tool, and I tried to paint here. I'm pressing, but it's not working. I'm like, why is it not working? That's because you got selection. It will only paint inside the selection. So if I do Command Z, so if I do Command D, now it's not working on the selection. Now it's working. Sometimes this has happened to me from time to time, but sometimes it's not working, and it's because you selected somewhere and it's maybe small and you don't know what it is. So just do deselect, Command D, and then you're good to go. Cool. Wait, let me see the drop shadow, because I'm not having this. Why is it not working? Drop shadow. I'm just gonna put black. Okay. Why can't I move it? Okay, it's being difficult, and I don't like this. Opacity, let's bring it to this. Distance. So you can change it this way, but you can also change it by moving it. I don't know why it doesn't work. Layer locks out of drop shadow. Is it this? Nope. Okay, I don't know. Maybe they changed something on the update. I don't know. Okay, let's go here, and then we'll be done. Are we still recording? Yes, an hour and 14 minutes. Wow. Okay, so this is the select tool, is to select, or to go back, and sorry, is the move tool, move stuff around, Command Z. Marquee tool, so I'm pressing, to show these again, I'm pressing and holding. So you got the rectangle, obviously you don't see the point of a single thing, because you can just do that, but okay, whatever. Command D. The circle one is kind of useful to do an ellipse or whatever. If you want to do a circle, you press Shift, and then that'll turn into a circle. If Command Z, if sometimes you want to create a circle around something, like around, how to explain this? let me add the ruler, Command R, and then add some of those. So if you start here and then you press Shift, you'll have a circle from that corner. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it properly. Anyway, Command D to get rid of the selection, Command H to hide the guides, Command R to hide the roller. Cool, I'm gonna put it back to that. So that, like I said, this is the lasso, or the lasso with straight edges. This is gonna be quite useful. This is the magic wand. You've got the selection, which if you go, actually, you know what, Command Z, I'm gonna create a new layer of this. So Command J for the car, and I'm gonna merge it with the background. So Command E, but I'm gonna, you see, this is the typical thing you would do on Photoshop. As a safety, I've got this background layer and I've got the car. I'm gonna put them there and I'm gonna untick them because they don't matter. I could untick all of them. So I've only got this one showing. But you see, now anything I change on this layer, they're together. But if I make a mistake, then I can still revert to this and I don't lose hours of work. Maybe I've been painting the cushions or whatever. Do many layers and it'll save automatically, but you can also, if you get the auto save on, it'll save, but you always want to save and create new documents and stuff. It's just easier. Okay, so what was I going to do? Oh yeah, so with this tool, I can select, I can go here and it'll sort of select near the, oh wow, terrible job. This is not working as I want. But what it'll do is it'll sort of give you an idea. You see, it's sort of around the car, kind of. But when it messed it up, you can simply just go press Shift, and then it'll, Shift adds and Option remove. So now I'm pressing Option to remove some of the selection. And you can select it like this. It's kind of an old tool. I don't use that so often. I can go like this to select a bit more. Or if I want to include this, I can click Shift and then extend the selection. Stop playing with me, man. It's the wrong one. Option. Okay, so Option to add to the selection and Shift to remove from the selection. There you go, that's what I was saying. Cool. It sort of works. I don't love it, but the one that's very useful is this one, the magic one. You can just click in this zone, and as you can see, it's taking way too much. It's taking, I want the beige, but it's selecting the red and the brown. I don't want that. So I can reduce the tolerance to say 1%. Enter. And now if I press here again, oh, now it's too small. So I need to go in between. So let's say 12. Enter. Okay, that's better. It's sort of around the car, but it doesn't, that's where the shade of beige changes from here to here. So maybe I could have, I don't know, let's say 50. Enter. Okay, that's better, but it's taking onto the car. This is a tool that's going to be very useful. You'll find out. Let's just put 30. When you want to do a quick selection, it'll just select roughly something that you need, and then you can delete the rest, whatever. It's kind of a useful tool. This is this is the crop tool that I used earlier. I think this, is that one of the new AI thing? I'm not sure, they've updated some things. That's the color picker. Oh, one thing I didn't show you, or what's it called? Eyedrop. Okay, eyedropper tool. So if I click here, I'm getting the value for this spot, but if I press with 2 fingers, so that's point sample. I can have 3 points, I can have 50 points. So if I go 50 and I go here, it'll give me some type of pink because I'm between the beige and the red. So if I go here, as you can see, that's the color. It's merging, you see, and as I'm going there, it's sort of merging all the colors together. If I go back to point by point, and there, as I swap color, it's very drastic and it's very sudden. There, I'm into red or salmon, whatever. So sometimes you need to do that. Most of the time you'll keep it on point by point, but sometimes you want an average. Say if you want to have a rough idea of like the mid color of the car, you could go 30 you go here and you get kind of an average. You see, as I go over the yellow, it's not changing, it's giving me an average. I'll put it back to point because I use it. Spot healing tool, content aware, that's the one that they added recently. So spot healing brush, that's the J tool, is when you want to remove, what would work? This might work. It won't work on this because it's not isolated and it'll create like a funky pattern. But if you have something, say the book might work. And sometimes you need to do it multiple times. Oh dear. Okay, no, it didn't work. Okay, it worked on Ford, for example. So if I'm a bit precise with it, so I'll reduce this a bit, then I should be able to remove the logo. Maybe I'll take a couple of passes. So that's an option. I'm going to keep this like that, and then we're going to move on to, I'll do it after. So now this is brush. I've used brush earlier, so you go brush or pencil. Never used the pencil, don't see the difference, but okay, brush. If I press with 2 fingers, I've got this command thingy-bob. And if you use a Wacom tablet, you'll have something coming up here with the options. But as you're using a mouse or the keypad, it's basically just one thickness, one pressure. If you're using a pen, a Wacom, or whatever, then you can adjust the opacity and the pressure and all that. 2 things you'll use a lot: size, like I showed you. I use the brackets on to the left of the Enter key to go smaller or bigger. But this is something you'll use a lot. This is the hardness. You can go on 0, which gives you a nice blur, or you can go all the way to 100, and it'll give you basically a circle. If you go in between, it'll give you, a shallower edge. Sometimes you need something kind of like there, which is in between, something really blurry and rough. Whatever. Command Z. I normally keep it on 0. Cool. Okay, stamp tool. So the stamp tool, or clone stamp tool, whatever, it's very useful. So I'm going to reduce this, and then I'm going to click on option, and you see that thing comes up, and that's going to take a sample of whatever I'm choosing. So I'm going to click here. Now I've got, you see this is the selection that I've pressed. So I can go here and paint over that, and it'll more or less work. Okay, as I keep going, obviously I'll show the wheel and stuff, but this tool there mixed with the healing brush tool allows you to do something pretty cool. Okay, it's not perfect, but I don't want to take too much time, so whatever. But the stamp tool is something you'll use quite a bit. Again, so S for stamp, option to select the source, and then I can just copy something. It's very useful. So say if you've got say if there's a cigarette butt or whatever on the rug, you can select this part and then cover the cigarette butt, and then that's gone. If you didn't want the legs, for example, you could just do option, press here, and then you just get rid of the legs. It's a neat tool. You have to do different selection depending on where you are, so then it actually works with your lighting, like that. Again, don't want to take too long. It's so easy to get carried away on Photoshop and waste hours, but like I haven't even tried to do it properly, and it looks pretty convincing. Cool. Okay, what else have we got? This, I don't know what it does. Rubber, obviously, E, and then you just use the brackets to go up and down. Bucket, this is G. So this will cover an area with a color. You can create a new layer and it'll cover the whole thing. Or you can press and hold, and it's got the gradient tool. So what we just use is the bucket. So if you press G, it'll go back to the last one you have. So say if you wanted the bucket and you press G, so say if I'm here and I press G, oh, it goes back. Oh, this is so weird. It wasn't like this before. Anyway, so gradient tool. So if I press and hold and move, I'll create a gradient. I can double click here. Oh no, I've got to set it here. So I've got to go here and then click there. Oh, come on, man, you're making me look bad. Wait. How do I change it? I've never used this. Because normally you press, there you go. Making me look bad on purpose, and then you can change the colors. This is where you want the gradient to go. And you can also double click, or has it changed? Oop. There you go. And then you can create you can add a different color. So that's the gradient tool, very funky. I'm gonna leave it back to bucket and then go delete. Oop. Delete. Now this is a very useful tool. So let me zoom in. Okay, so as you remember earlier, I cut this with the pen tool and I cut it quite sharp. As you can see, the line is quite sharp. So for that, I'm gonna get rid of this layer and just put the car back so it's separate. So now that I cut this very sharp with a 0 tolerance with the pen tool, it's a little too sharp. And if it's in nature, it look weird, it look fake. So what you can do is you can go here, press and hold, and it'll give you a few things. So the smudge will do this weird thing. Sometimes it could be useful. I don't really use it. The sharpen tool, I find it's kind of odd. It's just to add sharpness. The more passes, the more weird, I guess. But one I use a lot is the blur tool. So this I find is really cool. So I'm going to make it a bit smaller. And as I go onto the line that I cut, you can see it gets blurry. And if I go back, it gets even more blurry. Back, it gets more blurry. And as you do that, you turn a line that looks very unnatural and fake, and you turn your thing into, you see the difference there between this line, which is a bit fuzzy, and this one, which is too sharp. You turn something from a bad Photoshop to something that's realistic and possible. So this tool is really cool. You can also, of course, do Command J, and now that you got this layer, you can go back to the filter, and then you can add Gaussian blur, and then you reduce the thing, blah 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 blah. Okay, and then you can use the eraser tool, and then remove some of it and leave some. It's fine. It's a bit long-winded. I just like this little tool over there, this blur tool. I find it's very precise. It gives you more control, and it will really enhance if you're doing a portrait and you're cutting around somebody's face or whatever. Adding a bit of blur around the sharp edge would just go a long way. You can see all of this. Oh, my dog is sighing. I think I'm boring my dog. So you see this edge, which is a bit too sharp and unnatural. I can just have a bit of blur to it, maybe a couple of passes. Oops, if I can aim properly. And then that just makes the whole thing looks more realistic. So if I pick something from the picture, you can see all the edges, nothing is sharp, everything's got a bit of a blur to it. So that's a really useful tool. I like this tool. This one's another one you'll use quite a bit. That's more for editing pictures, the dodge and burn. Sponge, what does sponge do? Has something to do with the color, whatever, I don't know. I don't use that, but I use, so dodge is to make something lighter. So if I go to this part here, you see I'll brighten up the car. So let's make that a bit smaller, and we can go in the wheel, make all of this part of the wheel big. Actually, let me just do another picture so we can see the difference. So I'm going to make this brighter. The more I pass, the brighter it gets every time. Even though I keep pressing, it's still registering more passes. So that makes everything brighter. Okay, and then burn makes everything darker. Again, I'm going to make that smaller, and I'm going to make this a bit darker. It doesn't look massive, but I tell you what, when you do pictures of your work, I've just done one yesterday. Let's see. Oh, that's the guy I painted yesterday. Portfolio, murals. Oops. Come back. Where's my dude? That one. So this guy, actually, which is part of the course. So for this, enter, there was a light overhead here, and this was a bit darker. So the values were a bit different. So what I used was the burn tool to make things a bit darker at the top, and the dodge tool to make things a bit brighter at the bottom. And then it works pretty well. So if I show you this car and that car, you can see the values are shifting. I'm not trying to do it properly. It doesn't matter. The picture's great already. But you can see you can subtly change the look of an image. Again, like if you got a light overhead on your artwork, you've done a canvas or a mural and it's too bright and too dark, you can use dodge and burn. These are going to be your friends. There's actually a model that showed me these back when I used to do model photography. And it was, I didn't use it, but now it's something that's quite useful and I use it often. And so pen tool, we've talked about the pen tool. This is when you press Option. So you got this tool, but if I press, so if I'm with P and then I go Option, you see it'll do that little thing there. Command Z. T, which is the text. Okay, quick thing. You can go here and then you'll type this way, or if not, you can go here and you type normally. What are the others? Right. Now I can never remember this, so let me try and do this on this course. Right, so I'm going to create, I think this is like that. So I've got this selected, I've created a shape. I'm going to go to T. Oh, I hope this works, otherwise it'll look bad. Oh yeah, that's it. You see that dotted line there? So I can click here and then, yeah! And then you can create some text in the circle or whatever. For your clients doing flyers or whatever, this is something you might be using sometimes. Cool. Okay, what else? This is a select tool. Okay, if I press and hold, this used to be great, the custom shape tool. You press 2 and then you had like a bunch of useful things. And now they've changed it to something kind of weird and it's a bit unusable. You got this legacy shape, which I think I had to download to get the 2019 all shapes, but they still come up in this weird bloated way. Photoshop is great, but sometimes it's annoying. So whatever. I think what they are. Yeah, these were the ones. They kind of they have those things that are kind of useful, like arrows. There, they have shapes. Those shapes you'll use sometimes for whatever. But yeah, now it's a bit long-winded. So if you press a heart, you can just go here and create a heart. Ta-da! Enter. Okay, but apart from that, it's good for the rectangle and all these other shapes and stuff. Rectangle is the one you probably use the most. Oh, quick thing. So if you do a rectangle, you see those dots here. If I press on one of them and pressing and holding, and then I slide, you see it'll create the edge, the rounded edges. What else? This is the same as pressing the space tool, the space bar, to move the canvas around. That's a loop. This is to toggle between. Oh, sorry. Now this one is the one to toggle between full screen and not. So F. Oops. So if you press F, you'll toggle between the three modes: everything. Everything off and minimum information. Sorry, everything off, all the info, and streamline. Cool. These are your colors. You got a choice of 2. And then this, something to do with mask, which I don't know. Stop. Okay. Cool. I think that's all I can think of for the tutorial, the Photoshop tutorial. So Thanks for watching. I hope this was useful. If not, just have a look at some other videos and hopefully they can be useful. Oh, before I go, let me just show you one last thing. So if I go to File, wait, let's go back to Layer. Go away. Okay, Layer, File. Okay, this is something you probably use on your website. So say I delete this one and this one. So we've got this this checkered flag, whatever. Whatever is checkered is going to come up see-through. So if I go here, File, and Save As, so Photoshop will keep all of those layers that were there. JPEG, which is basically going to be a flat image, and PNG is, so you see like large file, blah, blah, okay. And what that's going to do is that's going to be saved, well, that's saved as just this element. So if you've got your website and you've got like a green color in the background and your text or whatever, and you want this image to be floating on your website, if you save it as a PNG, it'll save all of this as an empty space. The only thing is it'll save all of that. So really you'd want to do a crop and just have that. And then, so for example, your logo, you can have your logo freestanding like this with nothing around. So say if your page is, again, your page is green, you can have this, you can have your logo, say a black logo on a green background without having a white square. Fine, I'll show you 1 second. All right, so I'm gonna go to File, I'm gonna go to Open, and then I'm gonna go to Office, Tools, Logos. Okay, so here are my logos. Okay, so I've got my PSD, my Photoshop signature, and I've got the PNG and the JPEG. So the JPEG has got a white background, this got no background, and this has all the layers. So if I go here, as you can see, this is a standalone. So if I go and put on this side, now you can see it's transparent at the back as opposed to a JPEG. So if I open that one, excuse me. Okay, so now I got a JPEG, and if I put it there, that's got a white background. So this is what command. This is what a PNG does. It'll save without the background, so that can be useful. But if you do, by the way, let me just show you that because otherwise you might not know. We're going to remove the car. We're going to put a background. Oh yeah, that's the thing I was trying to do earlier. So if I press on the plus there, that'll create a new layer above. It's always above the layer that's there. But if I'm here and I press Option and I press that, no, sorry, Command. If I press Command and I press that, then it'll go below that layer. So Command and plus to go below, or just plus to go above. But say, for example, you have that. Whoops. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put the logo in the middle. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to do a quick crop. Enter. When you save it as a PNG, so if I go here and I go Save As, PNG, Save, Replace, sure, whatever, and I go OK, even if that's saved as a PSG, it's still PNG that's going to have a white background to it. You have to untick the white background in order for the thing to be see-through. And I think that's about it. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next lesson, which I'm not sure what it is, and I need a break. See ya!